My car's a Murray Anderson built car down in Melbourne, so it's all Australian, right-hand drive. A lot of people don't believe in right-hand drive. Me and Dad do. We're in Australia, guys, so that's why it's right-hand drive. 4-link car. I run a Lenco transmission, Creo clutch. The engine's a Brad Anderson Hemi. It's 511 cubic inches, PSI on top of it. Makes about 60 pound of boost at 10,000 RPM, and it's still got push rods in it, so the poor old motor don't go as good as the overhead cam deals, but we make it work. They got fuel pumps on them that pump about 18 to 20 gallons a minute. So like if you pretty much I could empty a 40-gallon tank in a minute and a half with its eyes shut. So on a pass, we put about 40 litres in the car, and after the pass we've got to top them back up with about 36. So they use roughly around the 30 to 35 litres a run, and that's just in 6 seconds with a little skid, so they're not real economical. The biggest thrill of the whole thing is getting the car ready, because you've got to make so many decisions before you get out there. So sitting in the car, your nerves are there, your heart's pumping because you know what you're about to do, what you got to do. The crew checks all over the car, you're strapped in. And I'll tell you now, when you're strapped in, you can barely breathe. They start the car up, you do the burnout, and by then, as a driver, you don't actually know what you've done, but a lot of people, they hold their breath. So when you're doing everything, you're holding your breath. So when you get out down the bottom end, you're so worn out, it's not funny because you constantly hold your breath. So we do our burnout, we make sure we're in top gear for that. Do a burnout's as long as you want to do. There's no rule on how big a burnout. I grew up with a guy that just does big burnouts, so it's just in my blood. I don't know how to do a short one. You back up, your crew run over, they tell you if there's any oil leaks, if there's anything wrong, they check everything out. I make sure it's in first gear, put it back into first, pull both buttons out, I check my parachutes, I just familiarise myself in the car. If you ever watch an in-car video, I check the steering wheel about 300 times because I can't think of anything worse at 250 mile an hour than the steering wheel falling off. So we go forward in the stage, my crew guy will indicate me in, I get the RPM at the RPM we set before we go out, so that can be anything. You choose that as a driver and a crew together. Rev it up to about 6,000 RPM, and I tell you now, the biggest bit comes now is when you got to drop the clutch. That's when you know if you got the kahunas or not, because you know anyone can rev a car up, anyone can do a burnout, but to drop the clutch in something with 3,500 horsepower, weighs 1.5 tonne, knowing that you're sitting in the middle of it strapped to it, that's when it takes the balls to do it. So you go down there, you drop the clutch, you drive probably about 200 feet, we shift them into second gear. By then you're doing about 150 mile an hour and you're there in about 2.2 seconds, 2.3 seconds. Then we drive again, probably about 4.8 seconds. We're doing 200 mile an hour now, and we shift it into top gear. And then I'll get the other hand, one hand on the steering wheel. I go from the top gear shifter, I'll put it up onto the chutes. So by the time I'm about a car length from the finish line, I pull the parachutes, I put my arm back down, I grab the brakes, and I pull it up and hopefully wait for the crew to come around and tell me I just ran a real good number. Andrew is our sanctioning body. They make the rules, we try to break the rules. That's as simple as that. Them guys kick us in the butt and put their foot down. They make the rules fair. As you can see, Door Slammer's the elite bracket because any type of car can run in it. Andrew do a great job of policing the bodies. They keep the cars looking as good as they do. So, you know, everyone knows that Dad's car's a 57 Chev. Everyone knows my car's a 2005 Monaro. And that's Andrew's biggest job, and they do a hell of a job at it. They're constantly trying to push our bracket to the top. They push our sport forward, and I tell you now, they keep us drivers in line because we stuff up, we get our butt kicked. I thank my mum and dad for the opportunities they gave me to drive the car. Sig Chrome and Castrol, the opportunities they've given me in life to drive for them. It's been an honour. All the guys that support us, Hog's Breath Cafe, the boys there, they're champions, and I tell you now, they keep me this big, so that's been good. But all my sponsors and all the people, my team, my family, everyone that supports me, thank you.